Hi guys, this is just your chapter 11-12 update for your test. Again, your first chapter your first question is going to be the matching for the vocab in chapter 10 and chapter 11. No, chapter 11, chapter 12. So marijuana and hallucinogens. Okay, I put all of them together again. So question 1 will have everything from chapter 11 and chapter 12 in regards to your definitions. Okay, then you're going to have your true or false. Again, pretty equal number from chapter 11 and from chapter 12. When you get to the essay, kind of like last time, you're going to have a lot more essay questions that discuss marijuana than discuss the hallucinogens because, again, the marijuana chapter is much more detailed, much more in-depth, and again, it's something that we discuss on a pretty regular basis, and there's a lot of issues that kind of come to mind when we talk about marijuana. So when you get to the essay part, one of the first things you're going to have to discuss is just kind of the use in general of marijuana in the U.S., also in other countries. So again, anytime you can find statistics, examples, things like that, that's going to be good. Kind of discussing also like its recreational use versus its medical use. You don't have to get too in detail there, but just kind of discuss if you can find any statistics on why people are using it in different places. Do some places seem to be more recreational and some places seem to focus more on using it for medical purposes, things like that. Let's see. You are also going to have to discuss the idea of it being a gateway drug. And that's kind of a controversial issue that sometimes people talk about. People like to argue both sides of that. There's a box, it's a box 11.2, and that discusses that concept, but there's not a lot of information there, so this might be one that you want to go and get an outside source for. You're also going to have to discuss the physical effects on your body and the psychological effects. And when it discusses the physical effects in your book, keep in mind that there's short term and there's long term. And keep in mind when you get to the psychological effects, there's different types. So they have categories in your book like emotional effects, social and environmental effects, cognitive effects. All those things are part of the psychological effects. So things like when it discusses the actual physical aspects of like maybe what it's doing to your lungs or your short-term memory, which also kind of falls into the cognitive aspect, and your amotivational syndrome and things like that. Something else you're going to want to look at is there's a table 11.1 that talks about the actual research that shows medically what do we have a lot of research on, substantial research saying yes, this seems to work, versus what do we have some research on, versus what do we have not very much research on, or nothing really to back up the concept of using marijuana or cannabis for that particular issue. So make sure you take a look at that table because you're going to have to discuss some of that as well. Okay. Let's see. You're going to have to discuss the legalization because that's something that we always talk about now. And you've discussed it a little bit so far in your discussion. But again, statistics, comparisons, anything academic that you can argue from either side or both sides. That's kind of what we're looking for there. And I think that's pretty much it from the marijuana section. And then when you get into hallucinogens, it's going to be very basic. You're going to tell me about LSD, the history of it, the use of it in the U.S. and worldwide. How did it come about? What are some of the things that we've done in regards to the use of LSD? Okay, you're going to do the same thing with MDMA, ecstasy. Those are probably two of the most common ones that we discuss or see. So you're going to just discuss its use, its history in the U.S. and worldwide. So those two are going to be pretty straightforward. You are also going to discuss the difference. You're going to kind of compare and contrast the anticholinergic cholinergic hallucinogens and the anesthetic, the dissociative anesthetic hallucinogens. So what kind of belongs to each of those? What do they do? What are the effects of those? And then one of the big things you're going to talk about at the end of the hallucinogens is any use medically for hallucinogens. What are we looking into? What have we researched in the past? What are we considering researching now? Because it's kind of come a full circle. And back in the day, we looked at using things like LSD and some of these hallucinogens medically. And then obviously we went through this period where those things they're illegal drugs. They're still illegal drugs. Now you see a lot of people starting to come forward and wanting to do some research again on can we use these things medically, just like we do with marijuana or something like that. You're going to have to discuss that a little bit. That, again, you're probably going to need some outside research for. So I think that's pretty much it. You have 24 questions, and then obviously your 25th is the same extra credit question, just talking about what you enjoyed learning. And if you have any questions, just remind at me like usual. I'm going to start looking at your papers and try to get you guys some feedback on your rough drafts. And again, you guys are down to the wire. You're getting really close. You have, let's see, about 5 days left maybe. So you're getting close to having a couple days off if you want. Obviously, everything's open, so you can continue to work ahead if you want. But couple more days and you'll get a little bit of rest. So you guys are doing a great job.